see if I missed anything. There's also, on the page, you notice there's groups. You can have different content per groups, and say you have a group that's B2B, and you can log in, and they would get one set of content for the page. If they're not logged in, you might want to have content that says, hey, pay us a subscription fee, and then you'll see the rest of this. There's also, notice I've been using TinyMC. There's also a mode over here on the right. We're advanced, where you actually see the HTML right here. You can also do that in TinyMC. But this, for any content type, this will actually show you all the key value pairs that are getting pushed out. The site level, we have Google Analytics. It's inserted into all of the pages. URL styles, you can use what I'm using right here, index, or you can do rewrite and use the pretty stuff, which opening screens I showed you, those are all really nice URLs up there. Much better for SEO, search engine optimization. I'm going to move right along. Blocks. What is a block? Blocks are those little pieces of information that I was typing in, that image, that content. All the blocks that I have available for your website are defined as views and data here in your block screen. And one of the things we have going on here is right now, if to enter a block, you just type in, you have to put all that metadata in manually. I'll show you the next demo how that's. Themes, you also have to register. Note every page has a theme and all the editable areas, and then the content gets flowed into these themes. Let's see if I caught anything. The grand finale, user mode. So the biggest change of all, see, we're on our own new page here, Servoy World, hi. So we have this, and again, console commander, add blocks, guys. Thank you so much for that. All right, here's where the magic happens. Browser suite. This is Servoy client looking at your website that you're developing. All right. You can also see your tree view being over here, move around your website. Okay, again, that's framework stuff, our framework stuff that sort of does all that bordering things. And the cool part about this is I don't have an edit button, and the reason I don't have an edit button is because I haven't made this guy editable. Go back here, and now I have an edit button. Only pages that are editable. Notice I highlighted any editable region in place editing. And now when I go and click it, woohoo. I can save that. Notice it's right there. And click it again. For different types of, and this on a bigger screen obviously works a lot better. There's going to be different eight data entry modes, so you can put it on the side as well. Right. That is version 1. I'm going to take a break. Figuring all that out. That's what we ripped off Concrete 5 right there, by the way. Yeah. Okay. Demo 2. How am I doing on time? 20 minutes in? 20 minutes in. All right, version 2. I'm just going to show you a couple things I've been working on version 2. Any questions so far while this is loading up? Yes?
From an SEO perspective, I saw the page, there was page numbering rather than names. Do you have the option to flip between numbers versus names?
Yes, that was the URL index.jsp equals. You can do a flag that says pretty URLs instead. And then you add in URL rewrites into a jar in your Tomcat server. And it all works. The very first demo I did, those live things were all pretty URLs. We call them pretty URLs. That's probably why you didn't recognize it. We come up with the oddest names. So. One more question real quick. How many of you have done websites? I'll just take this real quick. In Servoy? Great. Yeah, Corel, of course. It's nice to see some people I've seen for like 7, 8 years. Yeah, it's always fun. All right, let's get this going. That's going to have to turn off by itself because I can't reach the bottom. doing? All right, automatic registering of all the metadata. Anything that's a large application tends to be very metadata intensive, and who likes to do this? Okay, I gotta register all of these things. That's I gotta go over here, and I gotta do this. There's a region. And I gotta go over here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see if it'll now. Screw it. I'm gonna do it this way. You just put a .text file in your theme directory, give the information. Everything happens at once. All right, I've got a new theme in there. So your designers, everything they set it up, we just automatically did this. And now what happens, so go create a page. I have my new theme. That's a Concrete 5's theme, by the way, that you'll be getting. Go ahead and say, hey, let's put an image on this guy. Let's go over here and let's just choose an image. All right, got a few in here. Boom, what page is this? 411. No idea why it's not working out. We won't worry about it. There's your page right there. Blocks are the same way, is that blocks are defined in their own module. Okay. Let's go back to our module list. So you have the CMS module right here. You have blocks that are right here. Each block is defined as a form. And let's go ahead and say, hey, there's an image. There's all of these. Go ahead and do it this way. Here are all of your methods for the block image. You know, all that scale, that import, all that stuff, are all live on that one definition. There's also, though, an initialize and a loader that we've added for version 2 so that you can go up to here and say, hey, I want to, anywhere in my solution, and when you actually set up a new site, you're going to create a module for blocks just for that site. You're going to go choose that module. And you're going to choose any form on there that defines an actual block, and it'll read everything down it and go ahead and put it in image 1. There's all the data for it. There's all the views. Here's those actions, those client actions. We also have page actions. And when I create a page, I can actually go ahead. That's why it wasn't working. Boom, boom, boom. Our block type image 1. Done. Okay, then you go choose, et cetera, et cetera. So I've showed all that to you. Version 2, a bunch of other things I can show, but I'm not going to. We're going to now do how it all works. Hold on, I'm not going to give you any details. An impression is what I want you to come away with. Impression that I can do this too. All right, so it's going to be the fast thing. There is, in the developer, the modules, there's a database server, and notice at the bottom there is, for a website, a module that you put all the custom code and markup for a website. And everything else you can connect in, of course, with your own frameworks and other business applications. There is a directory piece that lives in the Tomcat server folder of Servoy. That's the directory structure. There's a single point of entry. There's some controllers for it, and notice the multi-site. Again, how many CMSs out there do you know that do multi-site very well? There's all your themes. Here is the big map. This is the big picture. It's not an R diagram, but this is how everything I've been talking about sort of maps out. There's a request that comes in here. The request comes in on the website. Single point of entry, which is your index.jsp. You will never have to do any JSP coding for this CMS. But to understand the flow, a couple controllers. The first one is the Servoy, and this is the headless client. It's generated. If you have made it to this level before, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you don't worry about this. But basically, there's the CMS module, there's the form we set, and now we call the main controller method there at the top that generates the request and gets all the data back from your CMS and returns it into, at the bottom, or next to the bottom, the layout. And it's just a bunch of stuff I could talk about, but I won't. And there's your layout. All that data comes back, and now we send it to the template layout. The layout, we're going to get to that in a second. In the Servoy side, how does that work? Well, there's your areas, there's your blocks, there's the data. it comes back into there. We're seeing how that goes. Here's your layouts. What's the structure of a layout? That's where it comes in. A page knows what layout it is. It knows what theme it is. Theme, wealth, level 1 wide. That is residing in your web folder where you put it. And now, what does that look like? Here's a typical example. There's only 5 things you need to do to convert HTML into a Servoy theme. You have to put a couple PHP stuff. That second line at the top gets the data back. That's what brings the data back. Second thing is any relative links to resources need to have a variable link. To do the pretty URL or the index URL, this will change depending on your rewrite rules. So we take care of that for you by putting in the variable. Next thing is we do a header insertion. You put this line in just before the closing head tag. To take care of all the SEO, all that metadata that you can put in on the CMS side, tags, information, now will get inserted throughout your whole site with that call. And then this is where throughout you replace all, from the designer, you get all this googly garbage junk. This is your text, lower epsilon, whatever, right? You replace all the placement text holder with calls to the editable regions that you want. This is what gets read in automatically when you're generating your template metadata in the CMS. Is we go find all these names. These names have to be unique, by the way. Lastly, you don't have to have a template each individual. You can have template zones that are unique, that can be used in many different many templates, like a header file. And that's the job of JSP convention. Put it in an elements folder, call it JSPF, and you can, there's the code right there. There's some more, go grab some data. Then there's a footer, we don't use that anymore. That's what you need for your designers. They do their design to convert it to a template in Servoy, CMS, just those steps. Boom, 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 find, replace, you're done. And I'll have a big demo for you guys up there. All right, finally, I just want to say that each page can have versions of what I showed you. You can have multiple paths to a page that will resolve to this page. So if you move a page around, you might want to start throwing everything to it. A page also has a parameter called location in that tree view beam. And then you can tag pages with attributes. This is really important for your coding later on. Lastly, we're going to check to see if you can actually access page, which group that you get access to. And then finally, you're down to the individual blocks that return image markup, content markup, your data plus markup. Block data is scoped to a page at this level. I didn't show you a scrapbook, but you can save a particular image, like I added one to a page. I can save it to the scrapbook, and now instead of adding that image over again, I can go to the scrapbook and add it to a page. If it changes in the scrapbook, I have 2 choices: copy from the scrapbook or connect to the scrapbook. If you're connected to the scrapbook, if you change it at the scrapbook level, all your pages will change that data. If you've used CMSs before, that's a pretty powerful concept to keep data square throughout your whole site. Version 2, Stacks, is a new concept we have for data. It's the same thing as scrapbook and content, but this data can be used for all the install sites in your CMS. So if you have a blog and you want to assign it to like 5 of your sites, you can do it by scoping the blog data to the Stacks level. Block types. Anything can go in a block type, and only limited by your imagination and your coding level. So I showed you a pretty complex one with the image one, right? I'll show you a few more here. And what goes into it. Again, I'm just going to give you just a broad overview. Where am I at on time? 30 minutes in? Okay, good. Everybody's confused, right, so far? That's easy enough. Once you start digging into the document, once you post what your questions are,